Hello, welcome to Paxton Road TV. I am Sam Spurs for Life, and this is Talking Points episode number 58. And this week's episode, we will be discussing, here we go, how 5 subs next season affects the league. But before we start, before I introduce all the guests, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. As you like the channel, like the stream as you're coming through. If you're watching this on catch up, make sure you hit the like button, share the content around, and put your comments in the comment section below. Right. No further ado, let's introduce in the house. We have Mike-Hotspur Hustler, regular, Sean Hurl, Ollie Gam, and welcome in Will Stewart, THFC Rants. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we all doing? I hope we've all smiling with the Spurs superness that we have at the moment. Can I use that word, superness?
It's not a word.
I'm use it anyway.
It's better than Spursiness, yes.
It is definitely better than Spursiness. And how we've not seen those Spursy days for at least a few weeks anyway. Well, that's good.
6.
Who's counting? I'm not anymore. But we're into a 7th week.
Is that days, not weeks?
Yes.
I'm sure we've been discussing Spurs in plenty of abundance over, let's say the last few weeks on various streams. But I thought we would have a little bit of a look at as I said, the new rule change that is going to be as of next season. Obviously, the rule change is in effect in other areas, in other competitions already. It was brought in during COVID. But 5 substitutions. I think it's a bit of a game changer, if I'm honest with you, in the Premier League going forward. And we'll see what you guys think. So without further ado, Ollie, start with you. How does 5 subs affect the league next season from your perspective?
I think it affects it in not a great way. I'm not actually in favour of the 5 subs. I think it's gonna be good for the top teams. Like if you look at the likes of Chelsea, who've got Havertz and Lukaku and top players that they can bring off the bench. That's going to be great for them. It'll be great for us if we can sign some more players and bring more players like Kulusevski to the team. And we've got obviously the likes of Lucas Moura. But you got to feel for the teams like Burnley. I know we don't really care about Burnley, but we should because we're neutral. If we take our Spurs hats off, we think about the teams like Burnley and Brighton who don't have the strength and depth. I think it will be good for when we're 3-0 up and we want to throw on a few fresh legs. That'd be great. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that happens next season a lot. But really, is it a good idea to be changing pretty much like half your team? I'm not so sure. I think you need stability, and we don't really need to be bringing on 5 players per match, in my opinion. I'm happy with the 3. But yeah, I think it's going to change. It's going to change a lot of things, especially for the top teams like Man City and Chelsea. I think it will help them a lot. But yeah, I just don't really see why it's necessary, to be honest.
So just to clarify, in terms of the rule change, they said there's 4 opportunities to make those changes, half-time and then 3 changes after that. So if you make one before, you can use half-time, but then you've got 2 more. So 4 in all. If you don't make it at half-time, you've only got 3, unless you've made some before. So I guess they're trying to stop it from being, as the comment we had here, it's going to be roll on, roll off. You'll only have an opportunity to do it 3 times unless you use the half-time. So, for some teams, it might be that, they do use that in a tactical way. For other teams, it might just be able to bring players on to give other players a rest, etc., etc. Will, what does the introduction of 5 subs mean to you?
I mean, is just because I haven't read the rule exactly, is this a permanent change or is this just a for the time being change?
As far as I can read and see, it's permanent change.
I mean, that's going to impact football across all levels, right? All the way down to the kiddos. I don't know about you guys, but even here in the youth, my son, they're only allowed to make 3 substitutions as well. So it's definitely going to help. It'll help, especially next season with the World Cup and all of that stuff, to allow players to maybe not put such a toll on their bodies. I mean, as long as they're only doing it at 3 times during open play, it's not so bad. I mean, having 2 guys come off the bench at one time is not as distracting as having, 5 individual, breaks that people can use to break up the speed of play and stuff like that. But it's definitely going to benefit the the teams that whose B team is as good as their A team, and that's not us right now. So hopefully in the future.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm still a bit undecided about it. I want to get your lot's comments first. I want to get Sean's comments first. Do you agree with the rule change firstly, and how do you think it's going to affect it, Sean? Let's come to you next.
Do you know, I'm probably in the same boat as you, Sam. Not really thought about it. My initial concern is about competitiveness, as Ollie outlined. You know, that suddenly those clubs with a bit more disposable income, and that will include us, but not exclusively, will have a competitive advantage. My other concern is about the development of UK players, or rather English players, because I think if you want to be competitive in this new league, you're going to need, a Chelsea-style bench, as Will has said, with quality players, and I think it just hardens the advantage of City and Chelsea currently. So I'm a wee bit concerned about it, although in terms of the toll on, they're expected to play with all the competitions they're in. I can understand, again, as Will said, that I think there's pros and cons, and I think my overwhelming concern is about the integrity of the game. That the super clubs will
they all have to
grow
vote
away.
on it, They all had to vote on it. I think my understanding is it was something that was put to all of them to make a decision, because I think it was vetoed before. They didn't want to do it, but now it's changed. So I'm going to come to you next, Mike. The smaller clubs, as such, if you want to call them that, the non-Liverpools, the non-Cities, Chelseas, there must be a benefit to them, or some people must see a benefit. I can see the benefit being you can have the ability to maybe bring on a younger player, as you were saying, Sean, maybe have more homegrown players, the ability to bring youngsters on the bench. If we had 5 this season, we might have seen the likes of maybe Scarlets or Whites a little bit more. I don't know. Saying that, on the flip side, with us, Conte doesn't seem to really make a lot of substitutions anyway. Someone like David Moyes, again, who likes to have a really small squad, small set of players that he can rely on. Whether or not that will be beneficial to have 5, I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we get into the season. But as it stands now, are you in favour of it?
No, I can see. I think the main purpose that they've done this is probably for the World Cup, given that it's it starts in November, doesn't it? End of November.
End of November, yeah.
End of November till end of December. I'm guessing. But I can't see the benefit, because how many of these teams, if you go let's go from outside the top 8, how many of these teams, like from the top 8 or from the 8th spot right down to the bottom, are actually gonna field all these youngsters that perhaps that's what it's been brought in to do, to develop youngsters, etc. I don't think the teams down the bottom end are going to take that risk. I can only see it benefiting the sort of top 6 teams in the Premier League. I mean, call me a legacy fan, but I like football the old-fashioned way. 3 subs keeps it sort of fair in terms of I suppose what players could be brought on, and because as soon as you go beyond the 3rd sub, the 4th and 5th, it's only going to be like what Will and Ollie and even Sean have said already. It's going to be those teams that have got a big squad, like your Man Cities, your Man Uniteds, your Chelseas, that are, and even Liverpool to a certain extent, that will properly benefit from having 5 subs. But I don't know. It kind of just feels like it's being brought in for the World Cup purposes. Which, if that is the case, I kind of get that, because it just limits perhaps the risk of injuries, risk of fatigue, etc. But yeah, keep it. I'm old school. Keep it 3 subs for me.
The Saturday at 3 o'clock as well.
The thing is, though,
I missed the 3 o'clock Saturday football.
The likes of Pep Guardiola, I think Jurgen Klopp, they've been pretty vocal. Specifically, Jurgen Klopp has been vocal about burnout and players and protecting players. So I think the reason for it is to preserve players. And then you're right, Mike. Looking into the World Cup for this year, that could be a reason for it. But why have they not thought about that for previous World Cups? Because the fact is, the World Cup being in winter, I don't think burnout's a problem because you're halfway through the season anyway. Well, not even halfway through. You're a few months into the season. And so to do it for the World Cup, to me, doesn't really make sense. If you're going to do it for a World Cup that's in the summertime when you've got players that have played a full season that may have played 3, 4, 5 competitions. That's when you're going to need players who are not going to suffer from burnout.
You start picking up injuries, though, don't you? Like players typically start picking up injuries once you get into the winter season, just because the pitch is heavier. I don't know, colder. I'm guessing, but perhaps colder conditions might play a factor as well. But it always seems teams, especially around November, December, you're like, oh, he's injured, or there's, especially when you lead up to the Christmas period as well, when there's just like game after game. Maybe that's being taken into account slightly. And I'm guessing, I am purely guessing, but.
So let me ask you, then, is there any scenarios where you can see this benefits the so-called smaller teams? The league is very, very competitive, and these rule changes are trying to keep, try and keep it as competitive as possible, so we don't have these 2-horse races, which we've got at the moment, and I'm assuming that they want to keep the competitiveness of this league. So, is there any scenario that you see where this 5 subs can benefit those smaller teams?
I think only in like specific scenarios where there's an injury crisis or someone's had their keeper sent off. Do you know what I mean? Like specific moments in the game where you think, wow, I could really do with another sub. But the teams like Burnley who sign 1 player on a free transfer per season, I don't think that's really gonna help them because they don't have the resources. And you know, Sean Dyche, I don't think he really wants to make. I know he's very much against it. He doesn't really want to make 5 subs a game. And a lot of managers won't use it, but I just don't think, you know, you make subs to change a game really, or to rest players. And, you know, Burnley starting 11 is their starting 11. I'm using Burnley as an example because they're the kind of model team that don't want this. But their team is their team. And, you know, they throw on a couple of players when they're losing, but they don't really have the resources to affect the game, I don't think, with 5 subs.
Ollie, is it also true that you can name up to 9 on the bench with this new?
There's definitely more. I don't know how many, but there's definitely more.
You can name 9 now. You can name 9 players on the bench now. Is it 9 or 7? Hold on, 1 second. Oh, sorry.
7.
It's 7 now. I think they're going to make it more. A bit, but like, does having more on the bench that you can maybe not bring on help? I don't know.
I mean, not real. You can only bring on 5 players, right? Why do we need 9 on the bench?
Having more on the bench isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, so it is 9. You can have 9 players now, but you can only take 3. You have got the concussion substitution, I think, is still available. So yeah. I'm not sure if that's going to change next season, whether that will still be in effect. Because if that is still the case, you've effectively got 6 subs you can make. So I just want to come to Will. Do you think there's any benefit to the smaller clubs, Will?
So, I mean, to the smaller clubs, maybe you could spread your money around a little bit more and try to get, you know, a little bit more balanced of a team, and then fresher legs can help teams, especially teams that sit back. You know, it's usually when they start to get tired and worn down that they start to get opened up. So there might be a benefit in just in that sense, but otherwise, no. I mean, because they can't afford to have, you know, 16, you know, starting 11 type players. So.
I look at all these rule changes and think, right, how can you exploit it? What's the loopholes? How can you get around it? So this is what I'm thinking teams maybe, and I think that's why they put in place, you can only do it 3 times plus the half time as well. How do you think teams might exploit this, Mike, then, with these 5 subs? Because I'm looking at it from my perspective, and Will mentioned earlier about the grassroots, when, you know, before under 16s, you could roll on and roll off. So we could use as many subs. Once you got 16 plus, then it was 3 subs. And it did become difficult because if you've got a squad of 16, 17 players, and I'm talking about grassroots where players want to play and you want to give players an opportunity, it's really difficult. Professionals, probably different. But there might be some exploitation going about. Do you think that's going to be something that we need to look out for next year?
I don't know how you would really exploit it, other than perhaps if you're winning and it's a comfortable position, perhaps you might use it to try and waste time slightly. I don't know if that'll be taken into account when the refs, because it doesn't normally, does it? When you make a sub.
Let me give you a scenario then. Okay, so you've got 10 minutes to play. You're winning 2-0. You haven't made any subs. You've got 5 on the bench. You decide that you might have, right, okay, we're going to hold on to this lead. You've got 5 defenders on. You bring all 5 defenders on, or over that 3 periods. That, to me, is taking advantage of a situation. Because in any normal circumstance, you couldn't bring that many players on. But now you've got 5. You can bring on 5 players who can just go straight into defense. I'm just looking at it from a tactical point.
That's the only thing I was just going to say. That's the only thing I could potentially think of, is that you could potentially use it for time wasting if the scoreline's tight, or if you're just trying to sort of wind the clock down slightly. But you'd hope that the refs, the Premier League, sort of would foresee that this being a potential sort of tactic that teams might try to use, and I don't know, maybe have something in place that would counter that from happening. Because, like you say, if you've got say 5 minutes left on the clock, you could essentially make 1 sub every 5 minutes and almost see the game out that way, couldn't you? But then that brings into play sportsmanship. And I don't know, at the end of the day, what does all the teams are going to care about is the 3 points, and 3 points means money and whatnot. But I don't know, it does bring into that sort of sportsmanship element into play. But then you're going to see it if it can be exploited. Teams are going to do it. So
I could see Burnley waiting into the 89th minute, or like a Watford, and they're 1-0 up, and they bring on all 5 of their subs. And they all go
This is what I'm thinking to myself.
I did that.
I mean, we've seen it though over the last year and a half, though, in cup competitions and European competitions. Nobody's really done anything outside of the box yet, right? I'm not saying it won't happen, but I mean, like Jose Mourinho never even used it when he was here, right? He had 5 and he'd only use 3. Right? So.
I think,
and that's the thing from Tottenham's perspective. Once you go beyond that 3rd substitute, as it stands now, would you bring on anyone else?
Well, again,
bring on Sanchez to defend the 1 goal lead.
But could you see a situation though where, like I think Ollie was mentioning, Burnley might be 1-0 up, 5 minutes to play. Right, we've got all 5 left, and because I think this comment here, I don't think they have to make 2 by halftime. What I think the rule is, if you don't make any at halftime and you haven't made any before that, you've only then got 3 opportunities to make. So if you still got 5 subs left after halftime, you can bring them on 1-1, but then you'd have to bring on 3 for your last one. So again, that's going to be a situation. I'm sure that's going to occur. But I don't, sportsmanship, there ain't no sportsmanship. No.
I know.
It's about taking advantage. The Premier League is so much money in it that there's got to be exploitation in this somehow for teams. I just want to know how that's going to happen. But looking at the game itself, is this going to have an effect on youngsters? This is going to have a better positive effect on the academy players? Sean's, you're shaking your head. Talk to me, Sean.
No, I think what will happen is that you'll have the situation where, for example, say City are playing someone and they're 0-0 with a few minutes to go, they'll bring on, and they get a free kick near the edge of the box, they'll bring on a specialist just to score a goal. I think it's almost like it's leading to sort of buying players who are specialists in certain aspects of the game. And I just think, I don't think it certainly won't benefit young players. I just think unless they beef up the homegrown or change that, I can't see that helping our young players getting into the first team. And I'm all about getting young, local, I would, as I've always said in the past, I'd love our team to come from within 25 miles of Hotspur way, but that's not going to happen. We're always going to mine for talent across the globe now. I'm a wee bit concerned. I'm a wee bit concerned about it.
The thing is, though, on the flip side of that, if you are able to pack out the bench to a maximum of 9 players, did someone say? Was it 7 or 9?
9. So you can name 9 players now.
So even
obviously 3.
even if you haven't got any intention of playing some youngsters, just having them on the bench could provide them some sort of first team stroke match day experience that they might not get whilst in the academy. It could come in benefit, like as a benefit, maybe in that sense. Although I am probably slightly clutching, but what I could see it benefiting is if it's across football per se, youth football, no matter what level, youth football should benefit from that, and even perhaps the lower leagues. But I still struggle with the Premier League as to how it's going to benefit, other than to say the top 6 teams. For argument's sake, I can't see how it's going to benefit teams.
I look at it this way: if you go by what Klopp's saying, and it's to preserve players in terms of injuries, what it will do for the league, if it works, is you should have players playing a little bit less. I'm talking about a few minutes here or there, but we're talking margins. So you should have your better players always playing. Again, for the Premier League, this is what they want. They want the Mo Salahs, they want the Van Dijks, they want all these top Harry Kanes every single week to be shown on TV. When they're injured for 6 to 8 weeks or whatever it is, that doesn't happen. So from their perspective, to sell the product, if you've got these players playing and always available, sells the product easier, in my opinion. But looking at it from a Conte perspective, he don't really use subs. So let's concentrate on a Spurs perspective. Ollie, how do you think Conte will see this, and how will he use this? Will he use it, or will he just continue what he's doing in terms of the way he uses his subs now?
I could see, as I said, him using it in a situation where we're 5-0 up, or on the flip side, we're 5-0 down, and there's no point, so you might as well just keep the legs preserved. Or, we've got a cup game coming up on Wednesday. Oh, okay, now I can take off Kane. Now I can afford to take off Son. I could only really see him doing it then. Otherwise, I feel like he would just stick, as you say, he doesn't really use subs that much unless we really need them. So I feel like he would stick to his guns and just use the 3 unless there was a specialist that he used for me.
Who thinks Conte's? I don't know, because to me, Conte, he's had plenty of opportunities on Sunday when we played last, when we were 4-1 up, 60 odd minutes, whatever it was. Still didn't see subs till quite late on. We've seen that in the past, even when we've had games where we should have been changing it, he hasn't really changed it. So I'm not quite sure whether or not it's going to benefit us with Conte next season anyway. What it might do, as you just said in those scenarios, we might get an opportunity to see a Dane Scarlett for 5 or 10 minutes, possibly. Harvey White, whatever that youngster would be, that wouldn't make a 3 sub. They might make it in the 5 subs, but I'm not quite sure if we're going to see Conte using this on a regular basis. He doesn't even use 3 sometimes. So I don't know.
I've got a feeling it'll have an impact on the loan system. That in that players will, whereas we think players should be on loan, to get minutes if they're not getting their first team place. That the impact could be felt in the academy, because Conte's often said that he wants 2 players per position. And although he doesn't use substitutes, and I think he doesn't have the trusted depth in our current squad, it might become a bit clearer come the summer once we've done the transfer window, what he intends and where we're going to get these extra players from, which I would imagine everyone here agrees that we need more players, better players.
Yeah, I agree. Mojo saying, as soon as the ref stops the game for the subs, timekeeper should stop the clock until the ref starts plays again. Well, that will be a nightmare, because that will definitely bring into some sort of gamesmanship, I would imagine. How much extra time are we now going to have? Is it going to make a difference to that? I'm not sure if it will. Are we going to start seeing the likes of 96?
It's supposed to be 30 seconds per sub. They're supposed to add on 30 seconds per sub.
It never is.
Yeah, but there's only 3 sub periods, right? So,
correct.
Yeah, it shouldn't be much of an impact.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to see a huge change, to be honest with you. I really don't.
I think it will encourage signings. I think people will be signing players a bit more, because I think we need a lot of depth to make use of this new change. So I think a lot of the lesser teams will be trying to get as much strength and depth as possible. and then Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool will just be competing with each other to who's got the best strength and depth. And I think it will just be a competition with that. And maybe that's what the Premier League wants. Maybe the Premier League wants everybody to splash the cash so that they can have nice fancy benches to use.
That's it. I mean, that might benefit some players as well. I mean, maybe some of the smaller teams don't have a lot of motivation to go out and sign players of quality further down the road, and so you've got players who are forced to go overseas or do other things, or clubs are forced to go overseas and find players they wouldn't normally look at because there was no need, really, right? Especially maybe like for the United States or something, some of the bottom table clubs going out and plucking top guys out of MLS and stuff like that are cheap, but yet there's no motivation for them to do it now because
Do you think it's going to cause problems in terms of players then maybe expectations? If you've got 5 subs, there's obviously the thought that you can play 5 subs. So and I'm looking at the scenario, just come up in my head. We have Dele Alli at Everton now, who's not getting a game there, on the bench there, made subs, not coming on as part of the 3. He might now think, right, there's 5 subs now, I should be coming as part. Is that going to cause a bit of disharmony in the squads if managers don't use it as they should? What's your thoughts, Mike?
I don't think that'll have any different to what having 3 subs. You could argue that with 3 subs at the moment, couldn't you? I don't think personally that will have an effect. I mean, if Dele Alli, I mean, obviously.
Sorry, Sid. I was only using him as an example. That's all. Sorry.
No, well, about an example of ours then. Stevie Bergwijn, his international form probably deserves a first-team place. Is it not in a position now in the summer where he thinks, do I hang around waiting to get an injury to Son, which seems to be the what the people say, or do I go back to Ajax where I'm going to get a game every week?
Whenever he's been playing, he hasn't really been playing in Son's position, has he? He's been playing as almost like up front alongside Kane, so
like a center forward more. As
a center forward, yeah. I mean, you saw with his goal on Sunday. Like, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Sean. And you could argue that, like, but
we could lose players through it.
You do make a good point, Sam, there. I mean, imagine if you are someone like Van der Beek or Ali, as you mentioned, they make 5 subs and you weren't one of them. That's a bit like,
that's a Will Smith, Chris Rock job, in my opinion.
You feel a bit like you feel about Nobby No Mates, and that's a real kind of kick in the teeth. Well,
yeah, and the other thing is, if again, you might find a scenario where 3 subs are made of the normal thing. You could argue that, right? But then somebody brings in 2 young. All I'm thinking is scenarios where it's going to cause problems. And it might not cause so much problems for, let's say, the smaller teams who have the smaller squads. But with the bigger teams, you look at City as that example. We said it might benefit them because then they can roll off. But the alternative, you might have some players who are now thinking, yeah, I should get a game now. I'm part of this 9. Yeah, there's 5 subs. Hold on. Because if you're part of a 9 and you've got 3 subs, the likelihood is if you're a youngster, you're probably not going to get on. More chances with more players that you can sub.
Still disrupts the team quite a bit, though, doesn't it? 5 subs. I mean,
it's too much, I think.
Yeah, I can't see Conte making 5 subs unless, like at the weekend, with 4, maybe 5 up, whatever it is, and he just puts on people just to rest players. Because you could argue, like, I suppose he did do it to a certain extent. I mean, he could have easily taken off when we were 4-1 up. He could have taken off perhaps 4 or 5 players and just saved them for Aston Villa at the weekend. But it's almost like you don't want him to make, from a Spurs perspective, you don't want Conte making subs just for the sake of it.
I think
not that volume anyway, unless we are absolutely comfortable. And I mean, you have got it on the flip side, is if we are struggling and we do need to make drastic changes, then yeah, cool, make those subs. But we'd hope we're not in that situation where we have to like change the team around drastically to get back into the game.
Will, I'm going to ask Will that. Do you think then that we might see almost like a special teams approach? And what I mean by that is, you could bring in some like a James Ward-Prowse. Again, another scenario. 5 minutes ago, you made your 3 subs. You get a free kick on the edge of the box. You bring him on just to take a free kick, and he scores. Obviously, that's good player. Nobody can complain about that. But had that rule not been in, I'm just looking at these sort of. Could it be an ability there? Teams can now maybe plan for that sort of eventuality. You know, have a specialist, you know, corner taker or free kick taker or penalty taker, whatever it would be, that specialist. Would that now be an option for people to have on their benches?
I mean, yeah, it's an option, but I mean, you'd still kind of have to be able to predict it, right? Because you only have 3 opportunities to make a substitute in open play. And, you know, we've seen that in cup competitions with where the 5 sub rules been in place, and it's gone into extra time or penalty kicks where they'll, you know, use all their subs there at the end or whatever to refresh the legs for the extra time or to bring on penalty kickers or whatnot. But I mean, it's look, I think as long as they're keeping it down to 3 open play substitutions, which is what we're allowed now, it's not really going to give somebody that type of a benefit where you've already subbed 3 times in open play and then you're bringing on a 4th, right? So, you know, I think all it does is maybe like if you already had, say, 3 subs planned for the day, you know, you can bring 2 in on one time and save that 3rd, keep that 3rd one in your pocket for that type of a scenario. Or maybe like a late injury, or sometimes that happens. A player gets injured after all 3 subs are made and he has to kind of suck it up for the rest of the match. And yeah, so I mean, that might be the only times when I think that's really rolled out and utilized.
Another question then. Sean, do you think this could have possibly encouraged managers, coaches, whatever you want to call them, whoever's in charge of the team, to make subs earlier?
Well, a bit like Jose did to Dyer that time, you know.
Like what Arteta did yesterday. He whipped off Tavares at halftime, said, "See you later. I've done that twice now. Bye-bye." And he's used it. Are we going to see more of that? Players just getting shoved off at halftime because of it, and then saying, "Right,
I mean, as we're notorious slow starters, I wouldn't want them to do it too early. Given that we, you know, I mean, who knows how it's going to spin out? To be honest, I would think. I mean, it does give that option. Look, if you think a player, you know, a player's been pulling my leg, he's not really fit, and I can take him off. You know, that scenario, but I can't really see it as a tactic as such. Or, I mean, Conte's so wedded to his 3-4-3, he's not going to, you know, suddenly think, "Oh no, I need to go to a back 4," unless it's like 5 minutes to go. I don't really see. I don't see that scenario. Meaning earlier substitutions. I don't really see that. No.
I'm trying to think of things here. I think of something else. Something else has just come to me. Is this going to have an effect? Possibly, because of maybe, you know, we all touched on different aspects of, you know, the reasons why it been brought in. Is it going to have an effect on the transfer market? Are we going to see more? I don't know. Are we, because you've got more players that you're going to have available to play? Do you then have more of a scenario where you buy more players in? I don't know. I'm just trying to think again in the summertime. Do teams then think, right, we might need to bring in a couple more youngsters, or we could maybe bring in X amount of, you know, specific type of players who are going to do scenarios, as we talked about, specialist type things. Because as I said, I don't think, and I'm using James Ward-Prowse again, I don't think he's good enough, in my opinion, to play for Spurs. That's going to be controversial. I know people here might disagree with that. Not bothered. However, I do think he's good enough from a set piece perspective to bring on, and he would be someone that would now, all right, interest me to bring to Spurs. You think that might have a really added incentive on?
I really hope you wouldn't sign a player just so you can take a free kick, Sam, because that is nuts.
I would, you know, if he's that good, because we're shit at free kicks.
We are, yeah, but I'd rather sign an Ericsson who can take free kicks and do other stuff too, you know. I think Ward-Prowse is a bit
if we started this.
No,
put it in George Bale or an Ericsson. That's what's going, isn't it?
Bale can do lots of stuff too.
Let's go.
Ollie knows. Why bring
here
Ward-Prowse?
we go.
Why bring in Ward-Prowse when you can get Ericsson on a freebie, who could just do exactly what Ward does, but on a far better, or the output you'd get would be far better than
Honestly, I think
what
there's
you
a
get from Ward.
reason. There's a reason Ward-Prowse is still at Southampton. I'm not going to start.
Exactly my point as well on that.
Oh, this is
he-
going to
he
get
does- he
tasty
does
for the
stuff.
next
Why would you
15
bring-
minutes. Right.
Why would
Big fish in a small pond, I would say.
Okay. Ericsson,
I could be wrong.
Will. I want Will to go. I can
wanna
see
hear
Will's got a
hear
little
his
smirk on
opinions.
his face, and Will's got things to say. Will,
Disagrees.
give your thoughts on the Ericsson Ward-Prowse kind of situation.
Yeah,
that
I
we've
would.
now
There's
found
you
ourselves.
couldn't pay me to take Ericsson back.
Ooh.
Go on,
Why,
Will. Go on, Will.
Why?
Say it. Talk.
Why? Because if you look at his performances over the last 4 years, it's nothing. We're talking like Harry Winks numbers: 2 goals, 2 assists. His output, play time over the last 4 seasons in any league, right, Italy included, has been awful. Right, we're living off the memory of the 18-19 Ericsson, not who Ericsson is now. He hasn't been performing in any season over the last 4 years.
Would you say he's?
I tend to agree. I think
You're not wrong.
he's in decline.
I'm not wrong.
He is improving. But is he riding on the wave of
This is
not
good.
being being alive again? I don't know. But he is. I would mainly do it for a nostalgia thing, because like it would be a really special moment to have Ericsson back. I don't think he should have returned to the sport, but that's another debate.
Yeah.
But he is playing well, and he knows how to take free set pieces. Not corners though. Don't put on the corners, Jesus.
Ericsson people, go carry on, because I don't want to. Not to say I don't dislike Ericsson. I'm
just coming from the perspective that I would rather Spur. If it was now, right now, I just feel that I would rather bring in Ericsson, who is not going to cost us anything. If it was from now to the end of the season, for argument's sake, I'd rather bring in someone like Ericsson, who would come in as a freebie, rather than spend. How much would you reckon is Ward-Prowse is worth? 20 million, 25, 30 maybe?
As well.
To Southampton,
It'd be worth it.
priceless.
I mean, Ericsson hasn't had more than 3 goals in the last 4 seasons. I'm sorry, that's not output for me for an attacking midfielder.
But do you not think he'd play in a different under? I mean, he's played in in what's name's
Conte.
Conte's team before at Inter, so he would be able to, argument's sake, he would be able to walk in, and he would understand what is required from him, from Conte, and hit the ground running. Do you not think that would be more beneficial than someone like Ward-Prowse, who's just? I don't think he's particularly great.
I hear what you're saying, but I just think we're remembering the 18-19 Ericsson, because even under 2 seasons with Conte at Inter, he had less goal contributions than Doherty.
It's just, I suppose it depends on how you utilize Ericsson, though, wouldn't it? Like if you utilize him from a deep lying playmaker type role,
deep lying playmaker, possibly there could be a benefit to, like Brozovic was used.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to use it like if you say if he was going to bring Ericsson as an attacking midfielder who, I suppose if we're going on the basis of what we were used to seeing Ericsson under the Poch days, then yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, so in Inter's 3-5-2 that they were running, he was playing as a dynamic midfielder, as one of those 2 8s or 2 center mids that were sitting that were supposed to be more dynamic. We don't really run that system here now, so you're talking replacing Son, Kulusevski, or you're replacing either Bentancur or Winks. So he wouldn't really fit into how Conte is playing now, but how Conte wants to play at Tottenham, that's a different story. But
I wouldn't pay anything for Ericsson. Like you say, if you're looking into the future, then yeah, there's obviously better players, younger players than Ericsson that would probably fit more Conte's style of play if we're looking at it now, or perhaps depending on how he wants to play in the future. But I don't know, if it was just a stopgap, just to see us through this.
Yeah, it's like a Joe Hart type player or something. Yeah,
I would have. Especially as a freebie, I would have probably taken him. But it's done, isn't it? He's never gonna come back. So.
Well, there is a possibility the summertime, because I think he's putting himself in the shop window. I don't think he's heart set on staying at Brentford. I think he's got designs on playing at a high level. I personally don't think he fits our system at any stage going forward for us, unless we play three in midfield where we have that 3-5-2 and he's playing deep. If he's playing as one of the two, i.e. Bentancur or Højbjerg, or Bentancur and Skip or Winks, I don't think he's the player that we need. He's certainly not a player that's going to take Kulusevski or Son's place, and definitely not a centre forward. So again, you're having to change how you play to fit him in, which is a good enough player to do that. But why would we do that? I don't know why we would go to do that. We've changed enough to try and get how we're playing now. And I think it's working to now disrupt that, to bring him in only unless circumstances dictate that. That's how I see it. And he could be brought in to be part of something, but certainly not, in my opinion, to be a starting 11 unless we change the way we play and play somebody else alongside him to make a three in midfield, I think. I don't know. I don't know. Bring Bale back is what Christina's saying. Bale or Ericsson then. Go on then.
I would go for Bale.
Let's just bring in Hoddle back then too, right? Let's just call him in too.
Well, I'm not about the nostalgia, but I do think Bale had unfinished business with us, and he was in a really good vein of form when he left to go back to Real Madrid.
To be fair,
I'd go for Bale over Ericsson.
To be fair, I'd probably go Hoddle.
I'd rather bring Hoddle in than Ericsson, to be honest with you.
It's not a bad chat, to be fair. But if it was out of those two, then I'd just for the fact that Bale scores more goals, why wouldn't you bring someone in like Bale?
Bale would be over Ericsson, yeah.
Let's have a little.
Bale could play as a second forward, couldn't he? If Kane needs a break, you could probably bring in Bale to.
Let's do this one then. Madison or Ericsson?
Madison, for sure.
Ericsson. Madison's not that good.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Ollie's on it today, isn't he? I'm going Madison all day long over Ericsson. I'm going Madison. I like him as a player.
And Sam, how is this linked to the 5 subs?
It's not. I like drama. I just like drama. And it's drama when people disagree.
Madison wasn't anywhere near being chosen for the Euros squad. Don't rate him. He's good on a good day, but not consistent. What's he done this season?
Eesh. Ollie's giving out slaps like Will. I personally, what's his age? Is he 20? I don't know. I have to check it out. Does anybody put it up there if they know?
Mid-20s.
I'd love to see his stats because Leicester have been mid-table all season and he's done nothing.
He's 25.
25.
Yeah.
I think
he could still get better. He could
be improved massive. Okay, if we're looking at players that have
pretty
been
productive
improved,
midfielder, to be honest.
There's lots of midfield. I'm doing the Ericsson Madison thing. I bring Madison in for his age, the fact that I think he could be coached a lot by Conte and really make him a real quality player. I think he can play in a 2. Whether or not that's his best, I don't know, but I think he could play in a 2. I've seen enough energy in him, and I like the player. I like his attitude to play in the game. I like how he's very tenacious. That's not all you need as a footballer, I know. But sometimes I look at Ericsson before when he was at Spurs, and I don't know. I wasn't when he was wanting to leave. He just didn't look like he really wanted to play. That to me has stuck with me throughout. Do you know what I mean?
But that's the same with any player. We've got. You could argue there's one or two players at Spurs that have just sort of at the beginning of the season down tools or appear to look like they're down tools. But this goes probably back to the topic of about the 5 subs. Ericsson or Madison right now, in terms of what they would bring to the team. Although I think Ericsson was or is perhaps maybe he's got more ability as a footballer, I'd bring in Madison probably all day long. Because I think Madison brings more to the team than probably Ericsson. I mean, you could probably utilise Madison in different positions and you'd probably still get the same sort of work rate out of him, whereas Ericsson probably hasn't got the legs to do the jobs that Son and Kulusevski do. You'd have to play Ericsson somewhere in that middle, whereas you could probably say to Madison, mate, I need you to do me half an hour out wide for whatever reason.
All right, let's do it a different way.
Probably
doesn't Madison play in the number 10 in the cam role, and Conte prefers a 2, doesn't he?
Yeah, but right now it's the way we're playing at 3-4-2. It's really 3-4-2-1. So you have 2 attacking mids. So he could either play in the Kulu role, the Sun role.
Play like Kulu, yeah. I just don't think he's that hard working.
He's got 8. I mean, you're talking. He's hitting 10 to 12 goals or assists a season for the last 4 seasons.
This season?
Yeah, he's got 8 goals, 4 assists this season.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Right.
I mean, for a
question.
Harry Winks replacement, all day.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and link this into subs. So if you had one place then in your squad, Ericsson or Maddison. Mike first. Ericsson or Maddison. One place left. 8. You've named 8. You've got one more place.
Oh, yeah, I'll take Maddison.
Oh, sure.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? You'd have to. It's
Well,
I go Ericsson.
Ollie's going Ericsson, 100%. He's sticking by his guns. Will,
Ericsson is proven world-class talent. If you forget about obviously all the stuff that's happened to him and loss of form, he's quality and he's proven it. But Maddison blows hot and cold. You know, Southgate said you need to be high quality, low maintenance, or whatever he said.
But Ollie, you look at some of the players that are in that England squad right now. Maguire is a prime example. He is not showing levels of quality at all.
Sure.
So,
Luke Shaw,
Luke,
one good season.
Yeah, we could probably name half a dozen of those players.
Phillips, probably.
Yeah, Phillips is another one who's not hitting the levels that he did last season.
I'm loving Southgate's picks for the World Cup right now.
If we play, yeah. So it's like when you compare that and you say about Maddison, I think Maddison's been unfortunate.
He had a bit of an injury as well. I'm sure he was injured towards the beginning of the season. He's been in, and like I said, he's still relatively young. I don't like to use the word really young at 25, but relatively young. But I look at the fact that I think that type of player, he looks like he's got the right sort of attitude to be coached. Whether or not his attitude is a similar, I don't know. He's got that sort of Jack Grealish appeal to him, but
he's not as good as Grealish. Come on,
no, Jack Grealish appeal in terms of that sort of flamboyant kind of wanted to be out. You know what I mean? Jack
takes the player on,
yeah. But also his attitude and his personality. I'm all thinking of that sort of side of things, not in terms of his ability. I still think he's a really good player, is Maddison. I don't have him in my squad over Ericsson at this moment in time, definitely. Will, you didn't mention that. So
not all day. You'd have to pay me to take Christian Eriksen. He'd have to pay us.
Forget about the choice, though. I think we can, if we get top 4 this season, I think we can aim higher than Maddison.
Oh, 100%.
Sure.
I think we should.
But even then, Maddison's a good. We just mentioned here about the squad. If we're going to have a squad and we can utilize 5 players, then why wouldn't you have a Maddison type player who you can bring on? It'd be a great squad. Yeah,
it depends what money is available and what you've got left to spend. If there's a little bit left in the kitty and we need a squad player, then fine. I would love to see us get someone like Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio, who's doing absolute bits this season. Someone like him, someone who can play in a Conte system.
To be fair, there's a number of Juventus rejects that we could that could come in and do wonders for us.
Or even if you think of Maddison as like a Dele replacement, right? Because we didn't really replace Dele as far as like homegrown spots in the squad.
100%. That's the other point. You mentioned that homegrown aspect of it. English player, bring him in. The numbers, the quotes that we need to achieve.
English premium as well.
I just think he's really and truly, if he was available, I would buy him because of that. Not just to say because he's a starting 11, but I would have him as a squad player. And we need to bolster our squad. Harry Winks over bloody James Maddison is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
That's obvious.
Absolute no-brainer.
And anyone over Harry Winks, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I was Harry Winks' number 1 fan a few years ago.
Oh, sure. Sorry, Sean. Again, we've got some Winks Naissance in the top. Sorry about that. Apologies, pal. But it's okay. You know yourself. Let's just wrap this up then quickly, and let's move off the subs now. Let's get to the real point. Let's get to the real point about what we're doing now. Ollie, how are you liking this top 4 race? Are we the favourites to pick up this top 4? Hold on, Mike. Hold on. I told you before. I'm going for it now. I'm going for it.
It makes me nervous.
I don't care. People can cook me up all they like. I don't care.
You guys are fine. If I say we're favourites, then I'm going to have people on Twitter saying, "Who are you saying favourites?" I'm not saying anything. I'm still a Spurs fan. You do not make predictions. It's just not what you do, man. It's going to be tough. I think we can definitely do it. I'm going to say really obvious things. We can do it. I hope we do it. Let's see what happens.
I like that answer. Will.
Oh yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. I think right now we are we're in the driver's seat as far as this. I mean, we would say we're odds-on favorite, like it's a locked-in thing. No, but we're definitely in leading the race right now with our fixtures that we have left. Like everybody always talks about Arsenal's game in hand. Well, that's Chelsea. Okay, so that's not an easy game in hand. It's not like it's Norwich or something that they're playing with a game in hand.
Well, I don't know. Brentford did quite well with a certain Christian Eriksen.
Well, any team can lose in the Premier League. We've seen City lose to bottom half sides too, right? But
it's an away game as well, isn't it?
Yeah, City at Stamford Bridge. So it's gonna be it's not a done deal. But and then that other game that's left for us is each other. So as long as they lose to Chelsea and we match them going forward and we win the North London derby, it's ours. Yeah, so it's in our hands. We're in the driver's seat.
Exactly. It's in our hands as it stands now, because even if Arsenal were to do all that, as long as we beat them and match everything that they do, we'll pick them goal difference wise.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. Now, if they start scoring loads of goals, it's going to get a bit sticky. But
where are they going to come from, though?
I don't see where their goals are coming from. Like a threat. Nketiah, where are they getting goals from? Come on now.
I mean, they may win games 1-0, 2-0 or something like that, but they're not going 5-0, 4-0, 3-0. They haven't done it all season. It's not. They don't have a. Aubameyang's gone. Lacazette, I think it's like 1 goal from open play. It's like it's.
We're definitely the best place, though. I will say that. I mean, I didn't realize the other day I saw that stat that we're the top scorers in 2022, and I know that Spurs are always like the top stat of the year and don't do anything, but we are in the best position. Arsenal have no strikers who can score. They seem like they're in sort of 6th and 7th, so we're definitely in the best position. But watch Spurs.
Right. Okay. So I would agree with that normally. What I've seen, this is only my personal opinion, I've seen the sea change in the way that they've got they're playing now. The patterns that you're seeing develop, Conte's happy with that. He's now come out and said, yeah, he's bullish about it. He said, yeah, we should be in this race. He's not saying that we're definitely going to do it, but he's making all the right noises and going by looking at the games that we got to play, looking at how we're playing. If you talk to me and said, who's got the best business end manager, the business end, Arteta or us? It's got to be us.
Yeah.
Conte knows how to manage this part of the season. Who's got the better players at this moment in time? Our players are coming back. A couple of players are getting injured. Tierney's out for the rest of the season. He's having an operation. Partey's going to be out for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. So they've got problems. Tomiyasu is not going to be appearing for another couple of weeks. In the business end of the season, when you need everything available and the best person to try and pull you through, Arteta's not the man, in my opinion. So if they got top 4 because of that, well done, Arsenal.
They've got that tricky period as well, haven't they? They've got like 3 or 4 games. And it's like Chelsea, Man United, West Ham, and us.
Sean? Yeah.
Today, which is Tuesday, the 5th of April, I agree with Will. We're in the box seat. But I will not be, until it's mathematically done, I'm not saying the top F word.
They also haven't finished above us.
I mean, there's even people now saying we're only 5 points behind Chelsea.
2016, I think.
2016 was the last time.
Is it 5 points we're behind?
So
if Chelsea, I don't know what the best result is for Arsenal and Chelsea. I mean,
I think after this weekend's games. I think after this weekend's games, if Chelsea win, I don't think it matters. If Chelsea don't win and they get a draw, because I think they're playing Southampton, if I'm right.
Yeah, they got Southampton. Yeah.
So they're playing them away. If they don't get all 3 points, then I think it's on. If they win, because we're still 1 game behind them, then I think 5 points plus a game in hand is too much, in my opinion, to get to Chelsea. But then it does us favours because Chelsea will then, beat Arsenal. Because I don't see Arsenal winning that game.
Which is why is it
Arsenal have got a good record at Stamford Bridge, Sam.
Without the players that they've mentioned, Partey.
Well, I mean,
no Partey, no Tierney. Tierney's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Tierney's a big miss. I wish.
Tomiyasu's a big miss for them as well. Those 2 fullbacks are huge for Arsenal.
Go on, Mike. Put it on the line then. Are we pole position for top 4?
Don't do this to me. I think we are. I think we are in the driving seat. We're in the driving seat, like Will says. I think we are in the driving seat. However, I just want Tottenham to take it 1 game at a time. So just take it 1 game at a time. We got next? Aston Villa. Beat Aston Villa. Hope that I can't remember who Arsenal have got next. Have they got Southampton
or Brighton?
Brighton, that's it. Yeah, they've got
Brighton on
next.
Saturday, and then
Is that at home or away?
Away.
Brighton
Doesn't matter.
away, I believe.
Brighton.
Oh, see,
Brighton are average these days.
they are. That's the thing.
Not
They
even
need a win.
average, Jolly. That's been.
They
kind.
haven't had a win for what, 7 games, maybe a bit more. I think they've lost a number of games on the trot, so they are due a win at some point. But yeah, I think we're in the driving seat. Just want time to carry on doing what they're doing, one game at a time. I think it's a blessing that we've only got sort of like one game per week. I think that seems to suit us better because I don't know, maybe longer preparation time, etc. And if we go on the basis of the past 5 or 6 games, it seems to have been doing us the world of good just playing like every weekend or once a week, whatever it is. So
Arsenal's at home. Sorry.
Yeah, Arsenal versus Brighton at Emirates. I think they'll win that game. To me, it doesn't really matter if they win that game because I expect them now to win that home game after the performance that they had against Crystal Palace, even with the players that they've got missing. It's not going to be a walk, but Brighton, I just think Brighton are again. They're pretty much on the beach at the moment, and the way they're playing, they're not going to. I'm going to
hope for a draw out of that game. Is what I'm going to hope for, a draw.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to come to the downstairs crew just to tell the viewers where they can find you. So, Will, tell the viewers where they can find you. Put you onto big speaker. Why not? I'll be big speaker, big screen.
Yeah, people can find me. Will Stewart, THFC Rants on YouTube, at THFC Rants on Instagram and Twitter, and that's where you can find me.
And the most fabulous setup in the world with the most fabulous microphone as well, because that is genius. Love it. Ollie, where can the viewers find you?
I'm on Twitter with this. Or am I pointing to this? I was like going left. This is this Twitter handle, and it's the same Instagram handle. Exciting announcement! I'm interviewing the one and only Ledley King this week. Apparently, it was supposed to be last week, and then it got delayed. Apparently, it's happening this week. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled.
Where to, Ollie? You actually, is it face to face or?
It was going to be face to face. I feel like it's on the phone now. I was going to go to Canary Wharf to meet him, but I think it's going to be on the phone now. So send me your questions, and yeah, keep your eyes peeled on my Twitter feed for the interview. Should be next week, hopefully.
Nice one. I'm not going to ask Mike and Sean about where they can find, because they can be found everywhere.
Right here.
Squatting on Paxton Road.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It was a good discussion. We kind of got a little bit off topic, but it's always good to have a little bit of a debate to kind of see what people's thoughts are. Yeah, top 4. Yeah, I'm pole position. We're in pole position for that. I want to see us now maintain what we're doing. Conte has got the players playing how they want, how he wants them to play, and they just got to perform. Accept his pressure now, and that's what we've got to do. Play how we play, and I think it should be ours. Yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Also like the stream, and also share. Any comments for further down the line if you wish to. I think the next time you'll see us will be on Thursday. We'll be doing the preview show for the game against Aston Villa at the weekend. Look out for us, see it on Friday. And I think, gentlemen, that is about it. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much, Sean, Will, and Ollie. Pleasure having you all on. Big up, Will. Postmax saying big up, Will.
Big up, Will. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thank you, Potomac. Potomac's a good guy. He always sends me stats on Twitter, so I love him.
He's a really good guy, Potomac. We like him. More likes. Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Tell him we want more likes on the stream. But that's enough time. Let's go. Second half of Champions League to watch. So thank you again, gentlemen. And we are